The James Show Podcast.
Elon Musk has now left DOGE. It's not a surprise. It's actually kind of expected before DOGE was even a thing. They're on the campaign trail. I remember them saying that this was going to be a temporary endeavor, and actually their deadline for wrapping all this up was by July 4th. And so if anything, he's stepping down a little bit early. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You know, you see rumors that maybe Trump and Elon aren't getting along. You see rumors like, oh, Elon Musk had a black eye, a very light black eye at the end of last week on his right eye, and Stephen Miller's left-handed, so maybe Elon Musk stole Stephen Miller's wife, and so he punched him in the eye. Or see, the rumors out here are ridiculous. All we have to go on is what Elon Musk and the Doge guys reported, what they uncovered, what they showed you, and then compare that to what Congress has actually codified into law. And if you look at it that way, DOGE isn't the disappointment. Congress is the disappointment. DOGE did their job. They dug in. They got some egghead data engineers, found out where the bodies were buried, showed you where the bodies were buried. And it was Congress's job to codify those spending cuts and make them permanent. They're not doing that. They're not even trying. They're not even close to doing that. And so when Elon Musk was asked about it over the weekend, he kind of feels like I do about it. Is this how you feel about it? Like, hey, did what we could. I don't like how this is turning out, but it's not like we did anything wrong. It's just unless all of Congress is on board. Well, not all of Congress, but a majority of the House and 60% 60% of the senators are on board with it. We can't make this permanent.
You know, it's not like I agree with everything the administration does. So it's like I agree with much of what the administration does, but we have differences of opinion. There are things that I don't entirely agree with. But it's difficult for me to bring that up in an interview because then it creates a bone of contention. So then I'm a little stuck in a bind where I'm like, well, I don't want to speak up against the administration, but I don't want to. I also don't want to take responsibility for everything the administration is doing.
Boy, I feel that one. Because when it comes down to it, if you looked at who was on the ballot in November, just between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, there's no question Trump was in a better position to run this country than Joe Biden. I mean, Joe Biden, he's probably not even going to make it to the end of the year. I mean, I hope he does. I'm not wishing death on the guy. I'm just saying, he's mentally speaking, out of a nation of 340 million people, that wasn't the best guy to be president. Trump's probably not either, but he's damn sure closer than Biden. So given the options we had, of course, Trump was the better choice in November. But none of that matters if your ideology is correct, but pragmatically speaking, it's not codified into law by Congress. So DOGE, I thought they did a pretty good job. I liked hearing about the underground mines where the federal employees are processed for retirement. Did you know that there was a mine shaft underground and all that stuff was handled by hand? I thought it was great to learn that USA was one of the biggest money laundering operations the world has ever known. I thought it was great how they uncovered and fired so many people in the Department of Education that were doing some things that were not beneficial to the education of our children. But firing people from the Department of Education isn't enough. We have judges that are hearing cases where they're saying, well, you can't just fire them. Oh, that's neat. So once someone is hired, you can't fire them unless this judge thinks it's okay. Or I should say, unless all the judges down the chain think it's okay. So what do you have when the elected representatives are not enacting the will of the people? What do you have when a majority of the country says government should be smaller, but the elected representatives are voting for a bigger Congress? In both parties now, this isn't a Republican or a Democrat gripe. This is both of you guys. And then on top of that, the bureaucrats fight. The people that are actually in positions of power that aren't election dependent fight against the cuts. The courts, the judiciary fights against the cuts. So now we have people in all three branches of government who are not elected representatives, some of who are, but most of them are not. Whether they are or not, they're all fighting against the cuts in government, and they're winning. Well, what you have there is a flaw in democracy. This is the real threat to democracy. Democracy means the will of the people gets enacted. Is the will of the people being enacted? Is the will of the people ever being enacted that want cuts? If you want cuts in government, you have never been represented by either party your entire life. If you think government should be smaller, you have lost every election in your entire life. There's not a Democrat or Republican Party faction even that is screaming for cuts, except for what, 4 people in the Republican side: Rand Paul, Thomas Massie, Mike Lee. And that's about it. There might be 1 or 2 more. Other than that, the uniparty, everyone's for growing government. Well, that's what we call a deep state. And it turns out DOGE can go out there and they can uncover all the fraud and waste and abuse and food stamp malfeasance that they want. They can even try and fire some people. But if the government has this self-healing apparatus that can turn around and immediately put in some judge's injunction to stop them from being fired or to stop the money from being withheld or to continue the spending, and then Congress turns around and doesn't codify any of it, what you have is a self-perpetuating machine that can't be stopped even if you vote accordingly. For all the people that gripe about threat to democracy, Trump is a threat to democracy, Republicans are a threat to democracy, you're a threat to democracy. There's the real threat to democracy happening right in front of your face. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, conservative activist Raven Harrison talks DOGE, Ukraine, and Palestinian terrorism next. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP.
Isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country?
I worry for people of color.
How the mayors are dealing with it, that's interesting.
Keep connected, DFW.
News Talk 820 WBAP.
And now, new on FM at 93.3.
Hey, are you a heavy sleeper? Like, I could sleep through anything. Miss Parker wakes up with the first time a dog barks. But if you missed the big storms this weekend, they didn't wake you up. You might want to go check your roof. James Parker here for Blue Ribbon Roofing. And I'm like Tarrant County from about I-20 or I-30 down south. Y'all got some hail this weekend. Did you hear it? If you heard it, then you know you need to call Blue Ribbon Roofing. If it didn't wake you up, this is your wake-up call. You need to go call Blue Ribbon Roofing. The deal is it's an absolutely free inspection. I know. I did it myself. I just did it last week. And it really is pretty quick. Comes to your house, puts a ladder up on the side, gets on your roof, looks around for maybe 10 minutes, takes some pictures, comes down, gives you the report. You get a little folder of information about the products and services that they offer, about the different types of shingles, the different shingle companies, different shingle colors, different shingle styles. And then if they do find an issue, you can work it out from there. Is this just going to be a patch? You need a whole new roof. If you do need a whole new roof, they'll help you with the insurance process. And they know all the ins and outs because John, Tish, and Trevor have done this thousands of times. How many times have you done an insurance claim on a new roof? Once? Ever? So get some help from Blue Ribbon Roofing. And if you do need a new roof, just mention you heard it on the James Show on WBAP. You get a free ridge vent ventilation upgrade. So homeowners, take care of that roof, whether you heard the hail this weekend or not. Go to blueribbondfw.com, blueribbondfw.com. Conservative activist and congressional candidate Raven Harrison back on the James Show. And we have a lot to talk about today. I want to start with the terror attack in Boulder. For those of you who just joining us and didn't pay attention to your phone all weekend, another guy yelling pro-Palestine. Attack some people. I was under the impression that someone was murdered because he's being charged with murder, but reports are saying that they're just injuries. However it shakes out, he was setting Jewish people on fire and yelling, "Free, free Palestine." Your thoughts, Raven?
Correct. This is a foreseeable outcome of Biden's wide open borders, something the Democrats celebrated. Let everybody who comes in, bring us your tired, your freeloading, your economic parasites, yearning to siphon money off of the American taxpayer. And this is what happened. This man came in. He's got a daughter who's getting ready to graduate from college, and she should be deported as well. But he was spraying alcohol on people, and I'm sorry, allegedly for the ones who are thin-skinned, was spraying alcohol on people and setting them on fire. One woman supposedly had her leg melted. I mean, absolutely despicable, and from Egypt, and this is exactly the problem. So we've got the border secured. Now we have to do something about the 20-plus million unvetted, unscreened, possibly criminal illegals that have been let into this country, and this is the result.
Well, I wasn't sure what angle you would take first on this one because we have both a pro-Palestinian, anti-Jewish, anti-Israel protester who's also an illegal immigrant. How many boxes can you check on the politically correct checkbox and have the left reach some level of condemnation?
Well, they're starting to, but again, they're condemning what they encouraged. This is what they encouraged. I remember them calling, the ban from places that were known for hotbeds of anti-American activity. They said it was a Muslim ban, and they slammed President Trump for a Muslim ban. Now they're silent, and MSNBC gets the prize, James, for being the first one to come out and say it was a white man who committed this attack.
Oh, crap. I didn't see that. Are you serious?
They could not wait to cover their tracks with a race war. It was disgusting, and I put it all over my social media so everybody can see what we're dealing with. All
right, I'm going to go look that up. Raven Harrison, how many of these terror attacks where someone is screaming Free Palestine? Because remember, 2 weeks ago, the guy yelled Free Palestine after shooting 2 Jews in the back for the crime of walking
Correct.
out of a Jewish museum. How many times can we hear Free Palestine in a terror attack before we start considering pro-Palestinian activists as part of a terror group, or at least supporting terror?
Well, correct. We have to push back, and that goes on to our GOP. I mean, I'm very glad that hopefully I'll be coming there in the midterm so I can bring my spine and some for other people, because this is what we need the GOP. We are tired. We, the people, are tired of dragging them through doing their job. They need to be taking this seriously and getting tough on this and keeping Americans safe. And we're still, arguing over what color the sky is. So hopefully we can get serious before we have another October 7th level attack or 9/11 attack. And I fear that's the direction we're headed in.
We're talking with Raven Harrison. Raven, your thoughts on the big, beautiful bill?
I think that it is definitely not perfect. There's a lot I don't like about it, but the cuts are not fully in there, and they're wanting to do this rescission, which only covers $9 billion. This isn't going to get it. We have got to give Trump the latitude to get his agenda passed, or we're going to get Hakeem Jeffries. We're going to get more communism. We have got to get these Republicans to get on board, give Trump the latitude to get this done. And that's what my thoughts on it. Yeah, it's not perfect, but we need to be trying to support this president, because I'm telling you, we don't have a rhino-proof majority. What we need to be doing is stop trying to get a rhino-proof majority and get a rhino-free Congress. That's what we need.
Well, you know what I would like to see, Raven? When the Boulder PD comes out and says we're not calling it a terror attack, it's way too early to speculate on the motive. That should reach universal condemnation. Just as if he said the N-word, everyone would just turn around and bury the guy, and he'd probably just be shamed into resigning his position. I mean, it's amazing that how much of the country doesn't mind just having lies thrown right at their face, in the face of like burning Jews in the background.
Well, that's a good thing. What do they say about elephants never forget? So Republicans are here to remind them every day that they are the hypocrites who started this whole propaganda war and now this is the result. So now we just got to get this fixed, and we got to remind them he doesn't have to call it a terror attack. Kash Patel already did, and American people are not stupid. We know what we can see with our lying eyes.
How's the congressional race going?
It's going awesome. It's a great day to slay. So I always tell people, people who want better have to do better. So we're going to step up and get this done for the American people.
All right. Thank you very much. It's the great Raven Harrison. I appreciate your time on the James Show yet again.
Thanks, James.
Coming up next, we're going to do another edition of What Did Jasmine Crockett Say This Time? Hear her thoughts on Trump's mental decline next. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP. Time for another episode of What in the Heck Did Jasmine Crockett Say This Time?
Jasmine Crockett, queen of the liberal tea.
Peach blonde, bad built butch body, Governor Hot Wheels, and he is a hot ass mess, honey.
Queen of the liberal tea.
In today's episode, mental health and the recognition of people's cognitive decline. That's been a hot topic as of late, especially since the Jake Tapper book came out. And I think one of the lessons we all should have learned is that one side's really good at recognizing mental decline, and another side can just have it sitting right in front of their face for 5 years and deny reality. So it's especially adorable when Jasmine Crockett's asked about that over the weekend. And her issue is, we need to be concerned about this president's mental decline. Oh, really?
If they want to talk about medical issues, we also could have a conversation about Trump, because I don't know what's going on. I know that he's not necessarily the creme de la creme in general, because we know that potentially part of his issues as it relates to Harvard is that, well, he got rejected. So we know that he's not ever been known as kind of like the scholarly guy. We know that he will never be known as this amazing orator as some of our former presidents were. Barack Obama, another one of his favorites, right? We know that that's not his wheelhouse, but we also know that like he is like next level unhinged, and he's been unhinged since the campaign. Like the fact that people ignore the fact that he was constantly talking about the whales or the sharks, and he was talking about, the windmills. I don't know. Just all over the place. And recently at West Point decided to talk about trophy wives and decided to talk about his investigations. And then right after the crypto event, he couldn't read the words on the teleprompter. Like he did not know the words. He couldn't read it. I don't know what's going on. But like, if we want to talk about something, we need to talk about whether or not he really has the cognitive ability, because he is the current sitting president, and whether or not the 25th Amendment should apply is something that maybe we should be digging into.
That is not a Jasmine Crockett impersonator doing a really good job. She actually said that out of her own mouth, without a script, just off the top of her head. Listen, if you apologized or ignored or didn't recognize, best case scenario, Joe Biden's decline over the last 5 years, you're not qualified to make any judgments on this guy or anybody going forward. You really have to be completely blind or dishonest to not notice what everyone else noticed about Joe Biden the last 5 years. Because we were making parody songs about it for the last 5 years. We were making montages about it. We were making dance remixes about it. So no, if you didn't call out Joe Biden's mental decline, your opinion on Trump's mental abilities mean zero, less than zero, actually. And just look at all the garbage that was thrown in there. He's known as not scholarly. Oh, yeah, that's what he's known as? Yeah, because that's what me and my friends say. Even my liberal friends, none of them have come up to me and said, that Donald Trump, he sure isn't scholarly. Has anyone ever said that sentence to you in your entire life? And her evidence for him not being scholarly, he got rejected from Harvard. Congratulations. Like 99% of America couldn't get into Harvard. So, yeah, he's really put him in his place. He did go to Wharton School of Business, which is considered like one of the top business schools. You didn't want to bring that up? You didn't bring up his grades or anything? Yeah, not scholarly. And also, we know he's terrible orator. Yeah. If Donald Trump's known for one thing, is being a terrible public speaker. Again, if you can't make the similar observation about Joe Biden, who really couldn't read a teleprompter, who really was stumbling through speeches, who really was chasing rabbits and getting lost and stopping mid-sentence. Anyway, we defeated Medicare. Just crazy stuff. You're not qualified. You've already discredited yourself and your diagnosis abilities. But he's next level unhinged was her next point. Next level unhinged? Really? Did he shoot at somebody or did somebody shoot at him? Who's more unhinged, Trump or his opponents? Who's committing terror attacks? Who's firebombing Teslas? Who blocks the bridge over here downtown or blocks the streets in front of City Hall every other weekend just for sport? Yeah, we're real unhinged. Like it was a Team Red constituency that just threw alcohol on Jewish activists and set them on fire. Yeah, we're real unhinged over here on Team Red. Yep, that's us. And then he talks about, he's talking about trophy wives and stuff. Oh, yeah. Well, you really got him there. He brought up trophy wives. Put him in his place. So let's stick around with this thread a little bit here, because this is something that I was hoping would happen. A discussion would have to be made about the Biden mental decline since the book came out. That's Jasmine Crockett's response. Bill Clinton was asked about it this weekend as well. He says he didn't see it before the debate. Really?
Speaking of aging, there's this book that came out that talks about Joe Biden and the people around him seeing that he had cognitive and physical decline. Did you ever have a moment with him where you thought maybe he was unfit to run for president? No.
No.
I thought he was a good president. The only concern I thought he had to deal with was, could anybody do that job until they were 86? And we'd had several long talks. I had never seen him and walked away thinking he can't do this anymore. He was always on top of his brief.
You never saw any cognitive decline?
So I didn't know anything about any of this, and I haven't read the book. I saw President Biden not very long ago, and I thought he was in good shape. But the book didn't register with me because I never saw him that way.
Why didn't you read the book?
I didn't want to, because he's not president anymore, and I think he did a good job, and I think we are facing challenges today without precedent in our history. And some people are trying to use this as a way to blame him for the fact that Trump was reelected.
Oh, I love this. And I love listening to their answers. I'll let it play out as long as I can, because why? There is no good answer. You didn't need to read the book to know about Biden's cognitive decline. I saw it. You saw it. And you know what? Bill Clinton saw it too. He just can't stop lying to your face. Jasmine Crockett, you saw it too. You just can't. And I get it. You're a politician. You can't say, yeah, my party tried to run some guy that was basically a human gummy bear. But this lying to your face, lying to people's faces isn't very endearing, whether they admit it or not. On a subconscious level, there's only so many times you can lie to someone's face before you start to lose a little credibility. So keep on with that. Yeah, we never noticed anything. Yeah, we need to look out for old Trump, about that cognitive decline. We got to keep an eye on him. Do you buy that? I love this story, not because I love government fraud. I just love it being exposed, and I love being proven right over and over again. It never gets old. Maria Bartiromo has an intro here on the biggest food stamp fraud in our country's history. Just got busted over the weekend.
But first, there's this. A Department of Agriculture employee and 5 others under arrest this morning, accused of a multi-million-dollar food stamp fraud and bribery scheme. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York calling this one of the largest food stamp frauds in U.S. history.
So Fox Business was reporting it at $66 million. I was trying to find a little more granular detail for you. So I went to the local NBC affiliate in New York City where this happened, not the state, but the actual city. So
New York City!
Required by my contract to play that.
Tonight, 6 people are now charged with a huge fraud and bribery scam targeting food stamps. Listen to this. One of the arrested people in this, a USA employee, that's the government agency that oversees food stamp benefits. According to the Justice Department, the group set up a network that supplied approximately 160 unauthorized EBT terminals to stores across the New York area. Those terminals then illegally processed more than $30 million in EBT transactions. And the USDA employee who's charged actually worked in the division responsible for identifying food stamp fraud. Earlier this month, we highlighted a national scam in our special report, Faces of the Forgotten. Thousands of people in Alabama have had millions of dollars stolen from their EBT accounts. And for the last 5 months, they say they have not been reimbursed.
What does that have to do? Like, they almost just wanted to use some mouthwash there to get the dirty taste out of your mouth. We don't want you thinking the food stamp program's corrupted. We don't want you to feel pity for the taxpayers here. We want you to feel pity for the people receiving food stamps. They just had to add a little tag on there. No. The point still stands that this is one of the largest frauds in U.S. history. $66 million or $30 million. The problem here isn't even really the bad actors that conspired to steal your tax money under the guise of helping the poor. The problem here is that we have offloaded our personal and societal responsibility to be charitable to our fellow man to government. This is the inevitable result. Socialism and capitalism is the fundamental debate on so many of the issues we talk about here on WBAP and on the James Show. And in this one, the point still stands. If you want to feed poor people, capitalism does a better job than socialism does. Private voluntary donations through profits or nonprofits of our own choosing, would never come up with this much fraud, waste, and abuse and still continue. In the super rare case that there is a big embezzlement or there is some corruption in a charity, you know what could possibly happen to that charity? It could go under. Charities go under all the time. People stop donating to them. People don't trust them anymore. Their funding source would dry up. Their donations would dry up. It's kind of like the Clinton Foundation. That was an air quotes charity and kind of goes away when the funding dries up, doesn't it? Isn't that the weirdest thing? But in this situation, could you imagine the Salvation Army had this level of embezzlement? And if they did, here's the good news. You could choose not to give your money to them. Maybe you didn't give your money to them in the first place. But offloading our personal responsibility, it's the same thing Social Security is. We're supposed to take care of our parents. You're supposed to take care of your mom and dad. I'll take care of my mom and dad. Maybe if we have an auntie or an uncle that didn't have kids, we could take care of them. If there's some people who just don't have a family, which is rare but happens, we could donate through the church or the local senior center. Or if you're an atheist, you could just go donate to an empty room. But we used to take care of them. Before Social Security, we didn't just throw old people out in the street and they were just dying, writhing in the ditch, waiting to pass away. We took care of them. We had old folks' homes. We had poor houses. But no, we offloaded taking care of our moms and dads to Social Security, and look what it's done to the budget. We offloaded charity when it comes to not just old people, not just feeding people, health care. We're supposed to. That's why so many of the hospitals around here are Presbyterian Hospital or Baptist Hospital or some other even secular charities like a Scottish Rite or Shriners Hospital. We can take care of them without government, and we used to, and it was better, and we didn't have this much fraud, and we didn't have this much waste, we didn't have this much abuse. You got to choose and control which entities got your tax dollars. It wasn't raising your taxes. You know, your Social Security tax, 13% right off the top. You can't escape that. You don't think you could do a better job feeding the poor if you got a 13% raise? What if, let's make a deal here. Let's end all this socialization of the industry of charity, and it is an industry. There's a demand for it. There's a revenue stream for it, and we would all support it if we had to. Let's just get rid of all the government charity. We tried it. It failed. It doesn't work. It ends up with great, giant gobs of fraud, waste, and abuse. We have $36 trillion in debt. We can't afford it. And private sector would do it better anyway. How much money has to be stolen from you via government air quotes charity before we declare this a bad idea? Socialism is inferior to capitalism. Whether it comes to schooling, whether it comes to health care, whether it comes to feeding poor people, whether it comes to housing the homeless. When are we going to get that through our heads? That's what's so frustrating about both parties. Democrats want to increase spending in all these charities and expand Medicare and expand Medicaid and expand the food stamp program and expand free health care. The other side, Republicans, they want to keep it about the same. No one wants to cut this. No one wants to end this. No one's really a capitalist out there. Why not? How come you never get the chance to go vote for that?
The James Show Podcast.